The first one was my film that I made with the other Lila, Esther's Notebook. And I think this kind of fits in pretty much every realm, maybe not knowledge so much, but I think it could be in any of them. And it challenged me in a huge amount of ways, which is why I chose it. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily extremely proud of the final product, but it helped me to really focus on the process of the learning, which I used to have more trouble with, and I think I've finally kind of let go of needing the product to be the most important part, because the process of things are where I gain so much of the learning. And I was given, at the end of the semester, there's a month-long project where you study anything you want. You can research anything you want and make an art project to go with it, which is also anything. So that's so open, and there was so much ambiguity and choice there, which I felt kind of prepared for because of Compass, my past year. But I ended up making these mind maps where I would just write down words and see where they took me and see what ideas popped up. And I ended up settling on education because I've always had a lot of interest in education and possibly becoming a teacher. And I had also never interviewed people in the community, and like reaching out to people more and emailing people and like adapting this professional tone of like, can I interview you for this project? That was all kind of a new experience, and it felt really good to get responses. People were happy to help, and I sent them my paper when it was done. And it was good.
Does anybody have questions?
I do. What was it like, Lila, to open yourself to that kind of criticism? You know, you didn't have to do that, so you chose to editing by your in the paper.
Uh-huh.
And you know, were you tempted to just say, maybe reel it in a little and say, nah, maybe I'll just give it to one person, or?
Actually, I found it really easy to just give it to everyone. I mean, I didn't have to. Nobody else did. Nobody else was like printing out their paper and giving it to every teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so motivated to revise it and make it really, really quality,
mm-hmm.
that I wanted tons of perspectives on how it could be better and how it could improve, because like when you look at a paper for long enough, you just like, it's so hard to get outside of it and have perspective about it. So I wanted all these really different people, like my teachers were all very different from each other, to read it and then give it back to me with comments. And I got like a really different variety of edits. Like some people were all about punctuation. They were like, you need commas everywhere. And some of them were like, I think you should add more research here about this to support that idea more, like that kind of thing. And it was it was kind of overwhelming, because especially my English teacher there, like she really dove into all sorts of things that I should add to, which was a lot of work. And it was a long paper, so like going through all the edits, and then especially like from several people, was like a big extra amount of work that I was giving myself. So I had to really kind of push through that and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make it good. So it was difficult, but it wasn't like hard for me to put it out there to the teachers.
Why? I mean, what compelled you to take that step to go?
I want quality work. I don't find it satisfying to put partial effort into things like that. I also had this there's kind of a lot of pressure on final project at Oxbow. It's a really big deal. All the research that you do, there's a big presentation at the end with tons of people at it, and you're presenting your artwork and your research kind of together. And I knew that partly with that incentive of this big presentation, and partly just I really wanted to feel proud of myself, and I wanted to show what I'm capable of. So it was partly just like knowing that I'm capable of something great, and then really wanting to show myself that I can do that.
I'm just going to read the words that
Right.
you've used to describe, and then if anybody has any questions or thoughts about any of those words and why she included them to describe her year, and then if you can kind of summarize, and then I'll read it
Yeah, I'll do my best.
later.
Yeah,
But if
still
you can
working
summarize.
on that summarizing skill.
So Lila used these words, and they weren't allowed to use more than 5 adjectives to encourage different parts of speech, to describe her 11th grade year. Endurance, strength, perspective, cultivation, evolve, identity, love, gratitude, grounded, listen, open-minded.
Identity kind of catches my attention. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about this idea of how I see people, like every day I see people who I think sometimes you can kind of put somebody in a category based on how they choose to dress and what their passion is, or what their, you know, their career is based off of, or like what lifestyle they seem to be leading. And everybody seems to have some sort of identity, not necessarily in a negative way, but everybody's got something going on, like this is what defines me. And it's the things that I like to do, or it's like it's my history, or it's, you know, my plans for my future or my family. And this all builds identity, and I think it's really common to struggle with, or at least chew on the idea of identity at this age when we're starting to build a lot of self-awareness.
I just want to say how, and I feel this way, you know, when we're just together, you know, outside of school or wherever we are, just how articulate and clear you are, Lila, about reflecting on what you're learning at the moment, what you bring to a situation, just your honesty and willingness to be out of your comfort zone and to work through it. You know, whether you're collaborating with somebody, or, you know, the fact that you have exposed yourself to so many different situations and grow every time, you know, in different ways. That's really beautiful.